Hey everyone, JCS Starcraft here with a clan war game between Root Gaming and I think it was Evil Genius? Yes, I think it was. And so representing the Evil Genius clan is LZGamer, a very strong Terran player who introduced the world to a mass Reaper against the Zerg players. And representing Root Gaming is Slush, a very strong Zerg player in his own right as well. So I think this was a best of three, and I think right now, I think Root was up. So we'll see whether or not they can continue outplaying their clansmen in this clans war right now. And LZGamer had some pretty interesting play that on the forums people were starting to talk about, which was that he would go kind of a standard Terran build and get late Reapers, but really start massing them and kind of try to take advantage of the fact of kind of exploit Zerg players if they're going for a fast expansion. And we'll see whether or not Slush does go for that. We'll see what he decides to do with on the 14 count, if he's going to go 14 hatch, 16 pool, or 14 pool, 16 hatch, or just going to try to one base it against someone he knows might be very strong at the early harassment. LZGamer right now just throwing down a pretty standard build, 12 on the racks, and looking at Slush. Looks like he is going to go 14 hatch. Is it going to go down as soon as we get 300 minerals? Yes, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen unless he does some crazy thing that I don't even know about. And there it goes, dropping down that 14 hatch. Going to be getting the 16 pull. And so we'll see whether or not he can defend his fast expansion. He is on, did scout, did see that, you know, the Terran wasn't right across from him and was able to scout over here as well, I think. Yes, so does know that the Terran is the furthest distance away he can be on Lost Temple, and not sure if he's going to be, does a great job kind of getting that harassment on the early SCV unit, drops it down to about 10 hit points, and LZ had to pull off on his on his Marine. Going to be choking in with the barracks and 2 supply depots right now, this drone unable to get out. And here we go, Slush throwing down that spawning pool at 16, so really going to try to work his economy up and keep it established. And LZGamer going to be getting his second gas, as his Reaper build usually requires a good amount of gas in there. And we'll see whether or not he sticks with that Reaper build or he's going to go something different. Slush going to be using this Overlord right now to kind of scout things out a bit in behind all the action. Spawning pool coming up for Slush, and not sure how he's going to be building this. Normally what happens is that the Reapers come out. As you can see, the Reaper is coming out. He is researching nitro packs, and Reapers run really, really quickly, even with speedlings on the creep. Reapers, if they're microed properly, can cause a lot of harassment. And here we go. Normally the response from the Zerg player has to be some sort of roaches to kind of drive off the Reapers, and I think yeah, it looks like LZGamer was able to spy it out, saw the roach warren going down, and so we'll see whether or not he's gonna have enough time with these Reapers out there without the roaches kind of trying to hold them off. Slush meanwhile starting to work on saturating and getting his expansion up. Doesn't have only has 2 Zerglings right now, one both probably being used to scout, one holding the Zelnaga tower to see and watch for any incoming attack. And LZGamer usually liking to get maybe more than 1 Reaper, doesn't like to just run that single Reaper up, but likes to get a few Reapers. Going to be coming up to this tower, will snipe off that Zergling, and might be waiting for more, or might just start his harassment right now. It looks like Slush does have 1 roach out. He has he's a handful of roaches. There's 3 roaches out, and we'll see whether or not positioning them all around the map is able to catch LZGamer before he can hop on. So great positioning by Slush right now, able to kind of catch his opponent before he can get in there. Great job using just 2 roaches to hold off the Reapers, and LZ pumping out just a few more Reapers. Not sure if he'll be able to get in there. Slush doing a great job just kind of distributing his roaches and not allowing LZ to exploit this high ground right here on Lost Temple, something that Terran players love to do against the Zerg that fast expands. And you know, I think perhaps this strategy by LZ on Lost Temple right now might backfire just a little bit. Is getting too well known for his Reaper build possibly, and A lot of players have been exploiting this, so... And here we go. So 5 Reapers. We'll see whether or not they can do anything. Meanwhile, I think he's going to try to transition to something else. Looks like he's throwing down, getting an expansion of his own, knows that he's behind economically, and knows that he needs to catch up. Just kind of running these Reapers around the map, trying to find some sort of hole in Slush's defense right now. But Slush going to be having a Spine Collar there, and I just don't think he has enough Reapers to deal with all these roaches, and just not willing to go in. There's a chess game going on right there. Not sure who's going to do who. So Slush doing a great job with a minimal amount of units to hold off this Reaper threat, and really using the cliffs to his advantage right now. And even though these even though the range of the roach just isn't very much, he's able to micro the roaches and kind of set up a perimeter around him too. So meanwhile, looking at LZGamer, going to be getting his expansion as well. Looks like he's going to be teching it up. Throwing down right now an engineering bay, and looks like he might be going some tanks, or no, he's going to be throwing down the army, so he's going to be getting the Thor. I think he might be predicting Slush kind of being forced to defend his base, might go Mutilus, and yes, we do have a Spire being built somewhere right here in the corner, that sneaky little Spire, so good anticipation by LZ, knowing that with the Zerg player kind of being forced to kind of choke down his 2 base, gonna have enough minerals to go Mutas, and so LZ looks like he's gonna be set up ready to react to that. Meanwhile, just trying to use this the Reaper army to contain Slush and make sure that he doesn't do anything. But I think so far what he's seen is that Slush doesn't have that many units on the field, hasn't really made a push. LZ trying to throw down a scan. Has he seen? No, he has not seen the Spire, although I think he does predict it and is just pumping out Thors as best as he can, throwing down the missile turret, so going to have his defense up right now. And the first Thor is going to be coming out. Here come the Mutalisks, and there are about 9 of them on the field right now. So Slush going to be running in, and if these Reapers aren't careful, they're just going to get destroyed. And they're going to try to hop on the cliff, but that doesn't really help them. And all of LZ's Reapers are going to get eaten up by those Mutalisks. But it looks like LZ will have enough Thors to kind of hold this off. He's going to be running in his SCVs to repair, and Slush is going to have free shots on those SCVs as the... I can't even tell if it's firing. I assume it's firing. It has to be firing and sending underneath, but I just couldn't see those graphics. But right now it looks like Slush was able to take out and hurt the economy of LZGamer, already ahead, able to tech up more drones. LZ did not have enough Thors yet. Now he does to hold off that Mutalistic attack. And Slush taking his 3rd base right now, and just going to be patrolling with these Mutalisks. Pretty comfortable right now. Slush has map control, kind of has sight on LZ right now, and LZ just forced to play defensive of his own, wasn't able to really use the Reapers to do the harass that he likes to do, and right now just needs to get ready for any sort of Mutalisk harassment, which is going to be hounding his base. Even has a missile turret in the middle of his supply line. Slush running in there trying to test the waters, but not going to be able to push him too far with the Thors and that missile turret standing right there. Slush going to be using this time, knows that his opponent is stuck in his base, has to be on guard at all times, and going to be taking his gold expansion right now. So great job by Slush, just kind of using a very smart group of units in the beginning to hold off LZGamer, kind of predicting what his opponent would do, and has a ready answer for that. A lot of Zerg players were getting kind of frustrated with the whole Reaper in the beginning, because if LZ wanted to, I think he could have tech to, or just thrown on a ton more barracks, and you can transition out of Reapers really easily into Marauders, depending on what your opponent is doing. So if Slush had gone Mass Roaches, those Marauders might have just been a very bad combination for him to go up against. But instead, Slush now, with a pretty strong economic advantage. If we look at the resources, he has really outmined LZ, and at this point, LZ needs to start thinking about, knows that he has not seen a large portion of the map. I don't know. He hasn't thrown a scan down here. He probably is thinking that his opponent has taken some sort of third base, probably the gold, so he's going to be taking the gold of his own. But looking at the army count, Slush considerably ahead in the farm count, 137 over 89. And so I think at some point, once Slush feels like he's strong enough and has really massed his units, is just going to be storming in here, getting a greater spire and an ultralisk cavern. So we're going to see just a whole bunch of units going down. Right now, Slush's units 1-1 on the ground and +1 attack in the air. Going to be trying taking out some of these starports. It looks like LZ doesn't want these starports to go down. Has a bunch of Vikings coming out to deal with these mutalisks. So trying to repair, but going to be losing so many SCVs, and he's already so far behind in the economy that I'm not sure that was really worth it for him. These mutalisks really paying off in their harassment and keeping LZ contained, not able to apply any pressure, and just allowing Slush to kind of take control of his side of the map and really out macro him at this point. Looking at the income tab, Slush far ahead, and right now LZ just starting to get his gold. Looking at the army count, it looks like once Slush decides to push in, this might be game for LZ. But Slush wanting to make sure that he has enough units to really go up against the tanks and the massive amount of Thors right now. Also scouting to make sure that LZ hasn't taken the island expansion as well. Meanwhile, LZ is really just trying to play catch up right now. Look at that harvester count, 70 over 36. LZ is just a little too far behind, I think, to catch up at this point. Needs to bulk up on his Vikings to really deal with those mutalisks, but it looks like Slush hasn't really been building that many more mutalisks. He only has 8 out in the field and has just focused primarily on a roach army, knowing that LZ has all these Thors, thinking that he probably has a lot of tanks. So things not looking too great for LZ at the moment. I think that at least it looks like Slush just wants to get up to 200 and push out, maybe save up a little bit of money so that he can rebuild his army almost immediately. So, and going to be running in here with the Overlord, just going to be scouting, just seeing what's going on. Not much of a major attack, although driving some of LZ's forces to deal with that. I don't see anything crazy going on the map, but now Slush going to be moving in from here. I guess he pulled away some of those Vikings, but the Vikings now just not going to be doing that much good. LZ realizing that there aren't that many mutalisks in the air, needs a huge ground force, but with all these roaches and the fungal growth going down, it's not looking good for LZ. Slush here with just really thinking ahead on his opponent and psyching him out with the mutalisks, doing enough harassment to force LZ to switch to pretty much like a half Viking composition. And I think LZ is going to GG here pretty soon, I would have to imagine. Doesn't have any siege tanks, does have that lone Thor there, but that tank is going to go down. That Thor's going to go down really quick. Maybe like a 3-shot from these roaches. So great game by Slush, and even just pushing in. I mean, Slush right now at 195 army. LZ GG's, and so game 1 goes to the Root Gaming clan. This is a best of 3. I will be broadcasting the other 2 games, and this is JCS Starcraft signing off.